Welcome in everybody to this week's edition of Doc and Jock. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me as always, my cousin Adam, the Jock Strozinski, who like we said last week, came up with an amazing idea. He said, you know what? We're going to talk Lions. We're going to talk the NFL draft. It's a big night tonight. And why not get all the guys together and let's talk about the Lions. Let's have a fun mock draft. Spend some time enjoying the funnest night in the NFL prior to the season. Cuz, what's up?
Man, we got a star-studded lineup here. We got Christian, Cameron, we got Logan, we got Vito. Like, everybody's here. Holy, like, is there enough room, like, with the size of your massive head and all of us here? Like, are you going to suck up all the oxygen in the room?
No, I'm absolutely not. The reason why I loved your idea and set this all up via Zoom is because all these guys, you guys really should give yourselves a lot of
Really,
credit.
it's because you just learned how to use Zoom. That's
I
why.
just learned how to use Zoom in a multifaceted way. And I did want to actually tell everybody here, everyone's here, should take, a round of applause for the work that you do for SIL Lions. People see it. They see your contributions. They like it. And Adam and I wouldn't work with you if we didn't see something of value, except for Vito. We feel sorry for him. We do a little charity. So we keep Vito around just to make sure that, he doesn't feel bad and left out. Didn't have a lot of friends in high school. Went to De La Salle. So I wanted to make him feel included and part of the family always. But the rest of you, you're part of the family. And I want to go to Logan first. What a wild ass day, the day before the draft. Atlanta rumors, potentially now the Lions could take 3 to 4 different players. This is crazy because now, just an hour ago on Twitter at Detroit Podcast, my first thought is now the Lions cut Hunter Bryant. Kyle Pitts is now in play.
I think he was always in play if he was there. He's that type of player. He's that good. And let's be real. Hunter Bryant, he's a nice player, but he was an undrafted free agent for a reason. So maybe the Lions didn't see, well, it was an injury designation, why they waived him. So I guess who knows what really went on there. But again, I don't know if it changes their plans all that much, just due to the fact that the Lions have needs everywhere. And Kyle Pitts, I don't even really label him a tight end. He is in theory, I guess, but any team that's going to take him is going to have a special role in mind for him. And he's such a unique player, but you always never know who to believe this time of year because there's so many smoke screens. There's misinformation that's put out there on purpose by other teams just to try to, murky up the waters a little bit. So to make it so no one knows what they're doing. And apparently the 49ers, when we do our mock draft, I noticed I have the 49ers. I got to make that third overall selection. Supposedly they're picked. They know who they want now, but they're not going to let anyone know until, the actual draft happens. So it's wild. That's why I love the NFL draft. There's so much speculation, so many endless possibilities. You can just talk about it forever. And that's just the first round. We're not even talking about the second, third, and fourth round as much.
Yeah, cuz what did you make of the potential there that Kyle Pitts could fall to the Detroit Lions? Now the big if is going to be Atlanta. I know number 4 is very, very key. They're going to hold all the cards. They could be doing a lot of smoke screens. What we have to do if we want one of the big 3, the Atlanta Falcons have to find the replacement for Matt Ryan. That's what we need. If they take one of the big 3, then we're going to have a problem. We might be settling. I don't want that feeling, but when number 4 hits, I'm a little concerned that worst case scenario, you heard it. You're hearing whispers. Clay Travis put it out in a tweet. You're hearing whispers. They love Kyle Pitts. They take him at number 4. You're starting to dip into worst case scenario.
Right. Go for it. I mean, it's just, to me, there's that big 3 that you talked about. And I just want one of those players. Sewell, Pitts, Chase. I don't really care. So there just needs to be, the top 3 are going to be quarterbacks. And you have to hope that there's one quarterback hungry team that's hungry enough that will make the trade up to get one of those remaining quarterbacks. So that's the dream. Just having one of those guys fall, is tremendous value at pick 7, no matter who it is of the big 3. And if not, maybe the Lions can get a trade down offer. That'd be a great possibility as well.
Yeah, Adam, what do you make of all the craziness that we've experienced just in the last 48 hours?
Well, I think it's absolutely nuts, but this is why the NFL draft is fantastic, right? This is why all of us will be glued to our television sets tomorrow night and then Friday and Saturday as well. Look, last year when the draft was going on, I was pushing a lawnmower and I had a YouTube TV set up on my phone, and I was like listening to it while I was pushing a lawnmower just so I could keep up with everything. So look, the NFL draft, the NFL has this figured out. They've got this formula for it, and it's absolutely fantastic. And all the stuff that you're hearing today is absolutely bonkers, but it also feeds that fire for it, which makes it so incredible. Speaking of Kyle Pitts, I think he's probably going to go. If I had to bet, right? If I had to bet my dog, which some of you guys follow me on Facebook, you know I love my dog more than just about anything in this world. If I had to bet my dog's life on what Atlanta was going to do, I would say they're taking Kyle Pitts. That being said, if for some reason something crazy happens, right, and he falls, am I the only one in the room who would go ballistic if they draft a wide receiver? I know, Logan, you just brought up Jamar Chase. Am I the only one who's just going to be upset if a wide receiver goes to the Lions at 7?
Christian, let's go to you and see, what do you think?
I personally would love it. You know, I'm a big Jamar Chase guy. I love Jamar Chase. I think that while the Lions have a ton of needs, I think personally that it wouldn't hurt to go out and get a guy like Chase who can kind of jumpstart that offense, because if Brad Holmes loves Jared Goff, and if they love Jared Goff as much as it outwardly appears as though they do, getting a skill guy who Goff can have some success with would not be the worst thing in the world by any means. So I'm personally all for that, getting a guy like Chase. And yeah, I just personally, as selfishly, as a guy who loves offense, I think that would be a nice thing to do.
Vito, what do you think?
Well, first here, a round of applause for all of us being able to deal with John Akron on a daily basis. So let's start with that, okay? First for me here. But
I like how Vito's
second,
3 beers deep.
Yeah, I should be dealing with John, okay? But after working a deal sell combination, especially John, though. But anyways, no, realistically speaking here, let me get to the draft pick now. And a wide receiver, would I go ballistic if they took a wide out? It depends on who they take, I think, at wide out. Obviously, Jamar Chase looks like he's going to be really good, right? A bona fide number 1 wideout at the next level. So for me, I'm fine with him. I probably would be fine with Jalen Waddle, maybe Devontae Smith as well. So realistically, the wideouts that are in play, they look good. I mean, they look good enough to take at number 7. So if you're going to burn a top 10 pick, I'm fine with that. But I'd rather have Kyle Pitts of the pass catchers, of all the guys that they could take at number 7. So for me, would I go ballistic? No. But if you have Penei Sewell on the board at number 7, I would take him before any of those wideouts.
Cameron, your thoughts? What do you think about how the Lions should handle number 7 and the wildness of the last 48 hours?
Yeah. So like we were talking about it a little while ago, and I saw the Falcons story with Jamar Chase. I mean, I don't know. I like a wide receiver. I think they need one badly, but I don't know. I'm kind of with Vito on that. The Penei Sewell looks good, so I don't know. I'm with you, Vito. I'm here with you.
See, I don't think there's going to be really freak out unless I think it's the quarterback. If they take Justin Fields, I think that opens up a lot of skepticism, a lot of criticism. Trey Lance as well, being a project as well. I think the quarterback might be the most polarizing. Micah Parsons at number 7 might unleash the people that say, oh my God, you didn't get the best value. So I think wideout, because you lost Kenny Galladay, you lost Marvin Jones, you lost Jamal Agnew. You need somebody to throw to. You want to give Goff at least something to potentially throw to, whether it be the best tight end / wide receiver in Kyle Pitts, or if it's hopefully Jamar Chase. But guys, we got to really take a look at really the worst case scenario, because of the fact that it's shaking out that, like Adam said, Kyle Pitts, number 4, number 5, Jamar Chase. Who wouldn't go with your boy? I mean, you know, Joe Burrow's like, hey, get Jamar Chase. That's my guy. And then you're hearing Penei Sewell, potentially. You saw what the Dolphins are doing in regards to the moves that they made. They made a trade. They let go of an offensive lineman. They've said openly, we're moving one guy from one side of the line to the other. That signals Penei Sewell. So you're looking at not having any of those options. Cuz, what do you think? I know you want to weigh in here.
So I want to go back real quick to your Trey Lance comment. I think Trey Lance, if he was to fall to the Lions, this might be one of the best spots for him. He gets to sit behind Jared Goff for a year. And like we've talked about it numerous times. Neither one of us want a quarterback, but in the Trey Lance situation, he gets to sit for a year. He gets to develop, he gets to learn a little bit. And I think out of all of the quarterbacks in this draft, he probably has the highest ceiling. He's got the lowest floor, by far, right? Just because he's only played what, I think 15 games in college, maybe less than that. But I think out of everybody, he's got the highest ceiling, and him sitting and learning and being brought along slowly. And look, you've seen what Anthony Lynn did last year with Justin Herbert. I mean, guy looked amazing, right? I think this could be a prime spot if Trey Lance was to fall for you and the Lions were to jump on that and take him. Again, quarterback is not the road I want to travel, at least not this year, but I don't think it would be as bad as you're making it out to be. I think that could really be an exciting proposition for most Lions fans.
Yeah, Logan, I'm curious to get your thoughts regarding worst case scenario. If it shakes out, like I said, I mean, it could go Chase Sewell in a different order, but if it's true, if Kyle Pitts is, become the apple of Arthur Smith's eyes and he can convince, the organization to make that move with a new GM. If that's the case, Fields, Lance, Slater in the mix, you got potentially, trade down still there, but let's operate under the assumption that, okay, they're staying at 7. What happens in worst case scenario?
I think the worst case scenario, which is an unlikely scenario, but at pick 3, if the 49ers were to select Justin Fields and obviously Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence go 1 and 2, and then you see the run on the big 3, the Pitts and the Chase and Sewell, that leaves the Lions at a really tough spot because I don't know how the rest of the league feels on Mac Jones. It seems like it's pretty obvious that the 49ers like him. I don't know where the rest of the league's at because obviously a lot of the media doesn't feel the same way about Mac Jones. I don't feel the same way about Mac Jones. I think he has the lowest ceiling out of any of the prospects. And then Trey Lance, Stroh's hit on all that. That's kind of just one of those things where you can see the upside in him and he has all the talent and it looks great on paper, but he has some accuracy issues that he needs to clean up. And it's not always easy just to clean that up at the NFL level. If you have that at the college level, sometimes more often than not, they're going to probably follow you to the NFL. And I think what he has going for him, though, is a guy like Josh Allen who had similar issues at the college level. And now he's got to the NFL and had a breakout year last year. But I think that's the worst case scenario if you're left on the board and like the top options are Trey Lance, Mac Wilson, and you're looking at the second tier of receivers. I think Jamar Chase is in his own tier, and then you have the Waddles and the Smiths of the world and Micah Parsons, which again, off-field issues aside, I think he's a great player, but there's still plenty of question marks around him just in the passing game, and you have to be able to cover the pass in the NFL. So it's, to me, that's my biggest concern is basically seeing the top 6 guys on my personal board all gone.
Cameron, I'm curious, how do you weigh in, Trey Lance or Justin Fields? Because you've heard all the whispers that potentially Justin Fields can't read defenses. Potentially he might fall victim like all the other Ohio State quarterbacks. Where do you stand if it's the quarterback? If we're in the worst case scenario zone and, those 2 guys are there, are you okay if they take one of them? Or do you say, what, bring on the nasty linebacker? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that is the golden question, isn't it? I don't know. It seems like the Lions are pretty comfortable with Goff. I mean, I think that's, if you're going to trade Stafford and you get a quarterback in return, they're going to roll with Goff. And maybe if they do end up taking a quarterback, and I know you guys have talked about this a lot, that first year guy might have to take a back seat for Goff for a year or 2 while they get acclimated and get used to the team. I don't know. I know that Fields has a lot of accuracy issues. I'm going to be honest. I don't know too much about Lance. So I think, personally, if it's me and I'm the Lions, I'm not taking a quarterback. I'm going to roll with Jared Goff. But, I wanted to open it up to the rest of the group. What does everybody else think? And if I had to pinpoint 2 guys that, would potentially be there at that number 7 pick for the Lions, I think it's going to be either Lance or Fields. And I just want to know, if you guys had to take one over the other, who would you pick?
I'm going with Justin Fields for me personally because of the fact he's done it in big games. You can't discount what Clemson. You can't discount that performance. It was solid. And Ryan Day runs a pro offense, and you realize that maybe he's going to be somebody that took that criticism and skepticism with you took it personally, can get out there on the field like a Lamar Jackson and really do some things. He's fleet of foot. So for me, I vote Justin Fields. Christian, what do you think?
It is an interesting debate, like you said, Cameron. Personally, I would go Fields. I like Trey Lance, but I think I like Fields more just because, like you said, John, the big game experience, there's no replacement for that. And with that being said, I think they shouldn't take a quarterback in the first round simply because, in Goff, you have a guy who's been to a Super Bowl. He's won playoff games, and you have much more pressing needs on this roster than a quarterback. And if you're going to use your first top 10 pick with a new regime, a new head coach, a new general manager, if you're going to use that on a quarterback when you've already got one, in my eyes, that's just, never taking your car out of neutral. So, you got to put your foot on the gas and you got to get an addition that's going to make this team better.
Well, somebody that knows a lot of things about staying in neutral is Vito. So let's go to him.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Come on, Vito. Put it in third. Put it in third gear and tell us what you think, baby. What do you think about Fields and Lance? Give us some action, baby. Tell us what you think. Get neutral.
I've been in neutral for a long time because my leader has been John McEnroe there at SIL Lions. So besides for that being the case, the guy I would go with, honestly, so, I would love to say Justin Fields because I think based on the big game experience, more experience than Trey Lance. Trey Lance only played in one game, last year too. He's looked good, though, in every single game he's played in Trey Lance, remember, though, at North Dakota State. So you got that going for him. And that's why I want to be the devil's advocate. And I'm going to go with Trey Lance, even though, once again, I'm thinking Justin Fields. But remember, too, there were games like Fields against Michigan State where, he didn't look like an NFL starting quarterback, to say the least. Sure, he can move, fleet of foot, and I know he's a dual threat. So, yeah, he can beat you with his legs, too, and he made some throws. Sure, he did. But overall-wise, you look at a game like that, and I know there was another game or two during that regular season in Big Ten play in the COVID-19 abbreviated season where Fields didn't look very sharp. He didn't look like a proficient next-level passer. So for me, I think you got to take away something from Fields there. Those are negatives, in my opinion. And Trey Lance, sure, we're all downgrading him because of the level of competition he played against. But how about the fact that he's just good? He can get it done. He does at a very efficient level, can be proficient, I think, at the next level too. So for me, I don't want to discount the fact that he's just a good all-around passer. And I'm not that smart. There has to be a reason why these guys, though, that are NFL scouts and league executives, why they're so interested in Trey Lance and taking him potentially in the top 10 and maybe even number 3 or who knows, the Lions maybe take him at number 7. So for me, I'm going to take Lance in this debate and not just because I want to be the devil's advocate.
All right, Logan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm more of a Fields guy, and I do have my concerns with Fields. Even if he was there at 7, I can get into my whole quarterback at 7 debate. I'm not personally a big proponent of having the Lions take a quarterback in the first round this year at all. And you know what? I wouldn't even mind if they didn't take one next year. I'm all about the long term. I want a true roster in place. And I've said it a million times. I want to maximize the 4-year rookie contract. But if I had to choose between Fields and Lance, it would definitely be Fields, just due to the fact that it's already been said a few times by you guys, but he has showed up in big games. But there are concerns, and my concerns with him is more often than not, he's passing to wide open receivers. When he gets under pressure, he doesn't necessarily play great under pressure, and you think he's a dual threat, but he doesn't run as frequently as you think he would, and maybe that can change at the next level. And then I also look at the big time throws, the tight window throws and things of that nature. It's just that's an NFL throw, and you see glimpses of it. It's just relatively, Fields is throwing to a lot of very wide open players, or he just always had the better athletes on the outside versus, the Big Ten corners where he could kind of throw guys open. And so I have my doubts about both of them, but I do like Fields as a prospect a little bit more. I think on my big board, he's right in that 7 range. So he would fit the value, especially considering that he's a quarterback and it's a high value position. But at 7, I don't know. I'd rather trade down, and I know that wasn't an option. It was just a Fields-Lance debate, but giving my 2 cents on that.
Cam, is it safe to say that you're not going to side with the guy that stays in neutral and Vito? You're going to go with Justin Fields?
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. You guys have said it best. Justin Fields is, he's going to take some work and some development, but, yeah, if I had to pick, Justin Fields is my guy. Even though I'm a Michigan guy it can't pick the Ohio State guy. I mean, Michigan doesn't have a quarterback, and I know that wasn't an option, but yeah, I'm going Justin Fields.
Hey, John, real quick, I just got to say, I got to actually give, I've been dogging John, but his MSU Spartans in that one game there, once again, I know they lost to Ohio State too, but I still think, I don't want to keep harping on that one game, but I don't think Fields was great against, a low-level MSU squad. And I know that was just 1 week, but there was another week or two, once again, if you look at his numbers or really just watch the film closely enough, where you look at Fields and you're not like, oh my God, this guy's not blowing me away. So, I'll just leave it at that, where I know Trey Lance wasn't on TV, for us to watch, right? So I think that takes away from the quality of a passer that Lance could be at the next level too.
Let the record show. Vito's upset he's not getting blown right now. But I'm going to come in. I'm going to say Vito real quick, okay?
Yeah, here, save me, please. Somebody.
Look. I'm going to go Trey Lance on this, all right? And a couple of things, all right? 30-1. That's his touchdown to interception ratio in college, all right? I know he played only a few games. He only started 17 of them, all right? In those 17 games, though, he also accounted for 18 touchdowns rushing, all right? When I see Justin Fields play, I get nervous. Like Logan was saying, when he's under pressure, he tends to scramble around a little bit, tends to kind of force the ball into some really tight windows. He's a really good college athlete. You get away with things at the college level. At the pro level, the window closes. The timing gets much faster. You got to make decisions quicker, and you got to put the ball in places that other guys aren't going to get it. Every time I've watched Justin Fields play, there are throws that he just gets away with by the skin of his teeth at the college level. You don't get away with those things at the professional level. And some of that, yeah, you get better protection and there's things you can work on, you can develop. But it just, to me, it seems more instinctual for him to try to lean on either his arm strength or lean on some of his talents. And I don't know if you break that from him at the next level. And I think it cost you games later on down the line.
Yeah, I just have a hard time seeing the Detroit Lions, especially after committing to Jared Goff, finding one in the first round, because remember, guys, there's an opportunity for the Detroit Lions maybe to select a quarterback later in the draft if they can find the diamond in the rough, the Kyle Trask of the world, or they just wait. I agree with what Logan said, and he's making a great point that teams, you want to build first and then have the pieces in place so that you draft the rookie quarterback that you believe can come in and have 4 full years to take over. So you have holes everywhere, especially, at the linebacker and the secondary, defensive line. So to allocate a resource like that to a quarterback, it's too soon. It doesn't make logical sense. So that's why we have to all hope that the Patriots' love of a quarterback is really strong and they make the call to the Lions, and you fall probably not as far back beyond 15. So I want to open it up and ask if the Lions do execute what everybody wants and make everybody happy, and they do get down to, let's say, 15. Let's say it's the Patriots and they make the deal and hopefully secure as much draft capital as humanly possible. Is there a name you like? You think Micah Parsons falls that way? Is it Rashad Bateman? Is it, the likes of a defensive lineman maybe at that spot? Or do you say to yourself, there's a name that we haven't discussed that potentially could come in and contribute in that middle of the first round range? I'll open up to Christian first.
Yeah, I really like Micah Parsons. If he can get to 15, I really hope that he can get to 15 should we make that trade. Listening to Dan Campbell talk, he wants kneecap biters, this and that. You don't get closer to that than a guy who's a strictly pass rush first outside linebacker who just lives to hit people. So again, there's some off the field question marks, but I think that aside, talented player worthy of a top 15 pick. I personally wouldn't hate it if we took him even to 7. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I also really like Rashad Bateman if we decide to go that route as well.
All right, Cameron, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm looking at the CBS big draft board right here, and it looks like, if we're looking at the 15th pick range, it looks like there's a lot of cornerbacks that are projected to go in that range. So do we think the Lions take a cornerback? I don't know, but it looks like there's a couple options there. Patrick Surtain's a name to watch. Elijah Vera Tucker is another guy. So, what do you guys think? Is a cornerback realistic there, or, am I just...
We'll talk about that because that's an outside-the-box thought, a cornerback in back-to-back drafts in the first round.
Right.
But Surtain has something that people would like. So I do want to go to Vito real fast, because I think if Micah Parsons is the selection, Vito might welcome him at the airport with a broomstick and be like, welcome to the family. Come to the cell. Come do a talk and come.
Let me wait.
Vito, are you greased up or no?
Come share your technique with us.
Let me just say, hey, we're the land of second chances. Pilot Nation's all about second chances, baby. Okay, second or third chances. Micah Parsons, okay, realistically, this would be a second chance on the guy. As I'm trying to talk seriously now about the guy, Micah Parsons. I think you don't look past the character issues. You can't do that. You don't do that with any single NFL draft prospect. But I think you got to give him a second chance and say to yourself, well, this guy was in college. He was still young. I know he's still young and maybe he's not matured yet, but you got to hope that he has, and he's turned the corner, and that as a player, he simply gets it done. And with his talent, his level of ability at the linebacker position, you got to believe that his game can translate very well to the next level. That's what any team will be banking on if they select him. So sure, once again, the Lions and others are looking at his character issues. But also, I think you got to look past it a little bit and say this guy deserves a second chance. And when he gets on the football field, we know he's a very capable linebacker that can be a high-level linebacker at the next level. And for the Lions, who are devoid of playmakers on the defensive side of the football, I think if you trade down and with the Patriots, get to number 15, and if Micah Parsons is still there, I think you got to take him there.
Logan, your thoughts? Micah Parsons or anybody else maybe outside the box there potentially if the Lions do make that trade. And I think there's a good chance 50-50, man. If the phone line rings and they can get maybe a first round pick next year, maybe second round, some additional capital. If there's a couple, a bidding war created, I'm hoping that there's an opportunity to make that trade and keep us all up late to see what they do.
Yeah, for sure. I think Micah Parsons at that spot I'd be comfortable with that as long as the Lions, cleared them character-wise and make sure they feel comfortable with all that. But I think at that point you start looking at some of the pass rushers. I think that'd be a good spot for them to go. Kwity Paye and Jalen Phillips, Azeez Ojulari, like those type of players. And maybe, I don't know how much edge is always a need, I feel like, for the Lions, but they do already have Trey Flowers. They gave Romeo Okwara, this big contract. They already have Aquara's little brother Julian in the pipeline as well. So I don't know how much they would prioritize maybe having a pass rusher, but if he's the best player available, that's really all I care about. Take the best value at every single pick. I really don't care what position it is. We're not worried about this year. And truthfully, you look at all the free agents the Lions signed, they're all on 1-year deals outside of Jamal Williams, who signed a 2-year deal. So there's no long-term future really in place at really any of these positions. And I think at that point in the mid rounds, you're starting to look at, those edge players, and then maybe at linebacker, if the Lions would feel comfortable with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, but, kind of like he's a hybrid. I don't know if there's a position for him, but again, if the Lions feel comfortable with him, that there's a spot for him in the defense, I'm sure I will feel comfortable because he is a great player.
All right, cuz, what do you think? Nasty? You think he's the guy that can be on the field 3 downs? I know that potentially he's got maybe some warts there that maybe people will be concerned about. There's been a lot. I mean, Logan did write some reasons why at SI All Lions that the Lions maybe shouldn't consider Micah Parsons, even though he would agree with the pick because of the need, obviously. What do you think? Micah Parsons, is that the biggest risk because of maybe the public outcry? You might start to see some dissent with the fans because right now they've done a good job with this culture. We, kumbaya, everybody loves everybody. We're a family here with the Lions. Does Micah Parsons come in with a little bit of that rugged edge that might fracture what they're trying to establish?
Who doesn't like a little nasty?
That's what I'm saying.
I love a little nasty. Bring this guy. This is my guy, right? If there was one guy that I was excited for this entire draft, it's this guy. The problem is you could probably get him at 15 and you're drafting at 7. So if you're able to trade back and you're able to still scoop him up, I'm all about it all day long, right? And to what Logan was saying, you really want to just maximize the value at every pick that you have. That's what you're looking to do. This team is so devoid of talent on both sides of the line. You're just looking to get impact guys who are going to help out. And I don't think any of us have any visions of grandeur of this team winning any more than 5, maybe 6 games next year. The season after that, probably winning only 7 maybe 8 games if it's a good season. You're not really looking to kick this thing into overdrive until maybe 3 years down the road here. But this is my guy who would help solidify that defense. It's been forever since the Lions have had a linebacker who just breathes fire and can disrupt quarterbacks and make their life a living hell. And on tape, he looks like that guy. In the locker room, he's handy with a broomstick. Cool. You know what? Put him to work, have him sweep some floors, keep him away from everybody's backside. It's what you got to do. Okay? But like, no, that's my guy, right? Like, just nasty, breathes fire, and is disruptive. I want a guy like that on my team all day long. I think you'd be crazy if you didn't.
Okay, now before we get to our final picks and who we think the Lions are going to take at number 7, there are a couple players that I just would not be happy with. Okay, now I know Vito would be thrilled if he could stand next to Devonta Smith and have somebody to talk to at eye level. It would be fair, but we want to be slight. I don't want to slight somebody with that stature, but I don't want Devonta Smith at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I just think that it screams, and I said it on the last DocNJock, it screams, Ryan Broyles. It screams like a player that's just going to be injured all the time. I don't want Devonta Smith. 166 pounds? I mean, Christian weighs that much. He can get out there and run around and handle all the business. I want Jamar Chase if it's a wideout. I don't want somebody with that stature that's coming off of an injury. Yeah, he had a big game in college, but in the league, remember, you also play in the NFC North. You play in a division with cornerbacks that are going to pound you. And I just got a bad feeling for me that if they select Devonta Smith or they select Patrick Surtain, it just doesn't seem to me like that's going to be the positions that you're going to get value at. And especially with the cornerback position, it takes forever. Nobody can wait 3 more years of seeing cornerback learn on the job, especially in the NFC North, where Justin Jefferson is primed every week to go out there and put your ass on the highlight reel by blowing past you. So my 2 no absolutes are Devonta Smith and Patrick Surtain. Anything else I could live with and make rational arguments for. Vito, I'll go to you, give you the floor. You down with Devonta Smith or any player or two that you just say, I'm going to get pissed off and bring my broom and bust him over the head with instead of other activities?
Well, I love the theme of the broom, by the way. Very good, guys. Very good stuff. But at number 7, I would say the only position I don't want to take is cornerback because of last year. So no J.C. Horn, no Patrick Surtain, no cornerback there at number 7. Now, I'll say this, even though I just said that, if you trade down to later in the draft to number 15 or to later than that, maybe you take Horn. Maybe you take Surtain. Now, he's not supposed to be there. Horn probably won't be there either. But maybe you look at a D-back, right, at that point, because we know that the defensive backfield was deplorable last year. It really was. One of the biggest weaknesses on both sides of the ball. But in terms of guys I don't want to take, I would say it just has to be those cornerbacks. I don't want to see either of those guys. And maybe, well, I'll say this too, Justin Fields. I don't really want to take him either, I guess, to sum it all up. Based on what I said earlier, and it's just the truth, I don't think he's good enough to take at number 7 overall.
Logan?
Yeah, so I think really Devonta Smith is probably the only guy I'd be like, I don't like this pick at all. I know he had a great college career, and it was really impressive what he did, but there's just so few examples of guys at his weight that can actually succeed at the next level. And his route running, and he's great at, using his hands to catch the ball away from his body, but he's just not the biggest guy in the world to really be boxing out defenders and making these leaping grabs. To me, if I'm picking a guy in the top 10, I would hope he checks a lot more boxes. And I don't think Smith is some elite athlete either. I think there's a reason probably why he didn't test at his pro day. Yes, he had his finger injury from the national championship game, but you can still run with that. I think he knew that he wasn't going to test off the charts or anything like that, because even on film, he doesn't seem like he's a very smooth athlete, but he's not explosive. And I just want someone who checks all the boxes at 10, or as many as possible. And I think of all the top, the likely top 10 players you see, Smith just has, the least amount of the measurables I'd like to see at that spot taking in top 10,
Absolutely. Christian, anybody that you say, hey, not for me, I can't picture the Lions selecting and putting on the field in Dan Campbell and Brett Holmes' first season?
Absolutely. When I look at the fact that they're in the top 10, I feel that they should get a top 10 player in this draft. And I think Devonta Smith is not there. I don't think he's a top 10 player in this draft. And, we've hit on it already, but his size is a major question mark, especially with how physical the division is. And I think that the way that he would have to be used would not play well to his strength. I mean, you're looking at a guy who's going to have to play primarily out of the slot. He's going to be running crossing routes, and he's going to be taking a beating because these linebackers don't care that he won the Heisman Trophy. They're going to beat him up. And so I think I'm out on that. Like I said earlier, I'm out on a quarterback, at least at number 7. Wouldn't hate it if they took one later in the draft. But, like I said, that top 10, that top 15, if they decide to trade back, I think we should get a top 10, top 15 player. And for me, those are the guys that we've talked about, the Jamar Chases, the Penei Sewells, the Kyle Pitts. And then, you trade back, then you start getting into the Micah Parsons of the world as well.
All right, Cameron, who's the players you just can't see on this Lions roster?
I think Christian said it best right there. I'm out on a quarterback. I don't want to see a quarterback, whether it's Fields or Lance or anyone really. But then I gotta agree with you guys too. I'm glad that we're all in agreement that Devonta Smith is not the pick. I remember watching some of the Alabama games and seeing him play, and I'm like, that's it. Like, that's all he is. So I think just his size and his physicality is just not going to work. And Logan said it earlier. I think that the Lions have a lot of flexibility right now to make a move that could impact this team well. They have a lot of needs, and I think that there are plenty of options there, but I don't think Devonta Smith is gonna fill that one of the needs that we have. So that's my guy who I don't want them to get.
So it's no secret, Adam is even more emotional than myself. So if you go to his Twitter page tomorrow and it's Devonta Smith, I think you could see some emotion being displayed there, or it's a different type of player. Follow him on Twitter at AdamRStroz. Because for team content, who's the player that would just make you get on Twitter, turn on the record button, and just let it loose like players of the past?
Have I ever gotten into a Twitter beef with any of you guys? Has that ever happened?
No, we're all family here. We wouldn't Twitter beef with each other.
Good. Well, I mean, like the draft rolls around and I just end up losing it every single year, and I just get into these wars on Twitter. So I just, I forget who I end up fighting with sometimes because these things happen. But no, definitely Devonta Smith is probably number 1, followed closely by Mac Jones, Justin Fields. I've got a list here. Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn, any of those guys going at number 7, I will probably put my foot through my very large TV and I will be pissed off all night long. So look, follow my Twitter because I'm sure there'll be some instant reaction to whatever the hell unfolds on Thursday.
And we have to give the other view too. If they make the right pick, if it's Kyle Pitts, if it's Jamar Chase, if it's Sewell, if it's somebody reasonable, get on there and do an applause. Put on the Lions hat, and do some.
That's some of that. That's what'll be going down.
Do some of that. All right. Before we get to this mock draft, let's put it on the table. Who is your pick at number 7? I think the Lions are going to take phone calls. They're going to, really have the strong opportunity to trade down. But I think that you're going to start to hear that a lot of second-round picks were offered and third-round people. The team's trying to lowball a new general manager. So they stay at 7. I think worst-case scenario happens. And a name that we haven't really talked about, but something that I think the Lions have kind of mentioned is versatility and sticking with the offensive line. In a worst-case scenario, without Pitts, without Chase, without Sewell, I think the name that's going to end up being turned in is Rashawn Slater. You messed up royally by bringing in Vitae last year. You're putting him at guard. I think they loved – if you just turn on what he did against Chase Young, limited his damage, and Young was ravaging the Big Ten. Slater can play any position on the line. If Taylor Decker tweaks a hamstring, you can put him there. Can play guard, can play really well at right tackle. I think that he might have the ability, based on the fact he's come out and said, I think I'm the best. And I think if Sewell goes ahead of him, he'll have that dogged attitude potentially to be a guy that's going to come in and want to prove himself. So I think the name's going to be Rashawn Slater, guys. I don't know if you've heard it, if you believe it, but that's the guy I think ends up being a Lion. Number 7, Rashawn Slater. Christian, your thoughts? Who is it? Who's the guy?
I would love if we didn't get into the worst case scenario, just because I really want to be a Jamar Chase guy. I think that would be the best pick personally. But if it does come down to Slater at 7, if they decide to, hold the fort, I think that you're spot on with your analysis that there's a chance that if Holmes wants to trade out, he's going to get low ball just because, a lot of people are going to be like, hey, you don't want any of the guys, too bad, not our problem. wouldn't hate that. Also, a lot of people see Parsons at 7 as kind of a reach. I wouldn't hate that either. But Slater's an interesting name. Widely viewed as the second best tackle. But at the same time, how do we know that Sewell's not just generational? How do we know we're not wrong in terms of our evaluations when we put Sewell ahead of Slater? You only figure that out by playing the game. So why not take a chance? And he would be a huge asset to that offensive line.
Christian, I knew why I liked you. You just said all the right things. You just did the right thing, man. That was awesome.
Appreciate that.
Do your thing.
Yeah, I think, the tackle still, Rashawn Slater is probably the pick there. And I wouldn't be upset with it. Athletically, he's very gifted. I think his biggest concern is probably just the shorter arms. And what's funny is he only has like quarter-inch shorter arms than Penei Sewell does, but it's that 33-inch mark is where Slater is at, and that's the threshold. There's guys out there who can succeed at tackle with those short arms, but it's very important. And I know a lot of teams are very old school when it comes to that, where they have to have some length at tackle, and if you don't have the long arms, you automatically get moved to guard. But I think Slater, his film that he has against some of the top talent was really impressive. And yeah, he didn't play last year, so who really knows? But I'd be fine with Slater, and I'd probably be fine with Micah Parsons as well. I think I like him more than most. I think even though he hasn't shown, I should say, I can't say he can't cover, because you just haven't seen it all that much, and it is still a work in progress. But on third downs and passing situations, you can still have him coming off the edge or blitzing. You would just hope. I guess I haven't learned anything from Jared Davis, because he had athleticism too, and his coverage ability never developed. But with Micah Parsons, I still think he's one of the elite talents in the draft. And so either of those two guys, Jalen Waddle, I don't know how I feel about a receiver at 7 when you can get them decent receivers in the middle rounds, the free agency, saturated market there. You can just find receivers elsewhere. And you look at a lot of the best teams, the last 10 years in the Super Bowl. And yeah, there are some recent examples of teams having really good receivers, but there's plenty of examples the last 10 years of teams not having the best receivers or top 5 receivers in the league, and they're still winning the Super Bowl. So I just think it's an overvalued position in general.
Okay, but tell us, number 7, who is it? Play out the scenario.
Oh yeah.
Who is it? Who's the guy? Who's the name on the card?
Rashawn Slater.
All right, I like it. See, I knew I was influential. I just throw it out there and everybody follows. Now, Vito, earn yourself a raise and follow along. Who is it?
No thank you to Slater. Not going to happen because everybody else is saying it anyway. So I'm going to play devil's advocate. And the Lions never do what we want to do. So forget about it. Even if we want it to happen. Now, we got to see what this regime actually is made of, right? They're going to really prove themselves big time in this year's NFL draft. So let's give them a chance, obviously, too. And I think all of us are, as of right now at least. But for me at number 7, I think Pitts is going to be gone. I think Sewell will be gone. I think all the guys that they really want, Jamar Chase as well, will be gone by the time number 7 rolls around. So realistically speaking, well, if you're not taking Slater, which I'm not, and I don't think the Lions will, I think you're taking Jalen Waddle. I think you're taking him. So not Devontae Smith. I'm not going to try to scare you guys with Devontae Smith. I think they're wise enough not to take him. And even though I wouldn't mind it as much as you guys, I actually wouldn't mind it. You guys would hate it. I wouldn't hate it like that. But for me, I think they will take a Bama wideout, and it will end up being Jalen Waddle at number 7.
With a dagger, I think that would open up a can of worms. That might get Adam to be upset. We'll hear. Cameron, who's the guy? Who's the name? They write it down. 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's their pick. Who's the guy?
I think if he's there, it's going to be Sewell. But I think if it was up to me, I want to ride wide receiver. And you guys are not going to like this, but I'm going to agree with Vito. I like Jalen Waddle. I think he's an exciting player. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to develop pretty nicely. And I also like Jamar Chase, but I don't think he'll be there either. So I think if Sewell's there, they're going to take him. But if it was up to me, give me Jalen Waddle.
Oh my gosh, the dagger. That might get me to put on a video. All right, Adam.
I feel like I should go Jalen Waddle just so we have 3 and 3 here, but not going to be the case, guys.
You're wise. Who is it? Who's the guy? You know the scenarios. You've read everything. I know you know what's going on. You get all the alerts besides the inappropriate stuff. What's going to happen?
Yeah, so this is like worst case scenario if you're the Detroit Lions, right? Like all the guys that you really, really want have been selected just before you, and the phone's not ringing. You can't move back. So you can't really maximize your value at 7 here. So what do? And I think you go safe. And I don't think there's anything wrong with going safe. And safe is usually offensive line. You can go and get a guy like Rashawn Slater, try him as a right tackle. If he fails, you can move him into right guard. If that doesn't work, you've got some other options. The thing about offensive linemen is usually they're versatile enough and they're smart enough to be able to play just about anywhere on that line. It's sometimes hard to go from a right side to a left side or a left side to a right side, but you can usually find a spot on the line for a guy who's extremely talented. And I think Rashawn Slater is extremely talented. I think worst case scenario, it's doomsday. Rashawn Slater's a safe pick, and I think the fan base would be okay with that. At least most of the smart fan base would be okay with that.
That's right. Doc and Jock in agreement. We know what's up. Thank you. Very good call. I think it would at least for once. What we haven't seen is a running game. Everybody, we haven't seen it. We've seen Calvin Johnson. We've seen the big arm quarterback. We've seen some talent on defense. Slim, but we've seen talent on defense. But we haven't had a dominant offensive line to run the football. If you've just listened to what they've said, it's got to be linebacker or offensive line. It just has to be. That's the trenches. That's kind of where the kneecap situations happen, and you got to give DeAndre Swift a chance to succeed. So I think Slater, if it's worst case scenario. Now, if we can get best case scenario, that'd be amazing. Get some Kyle Pitts. Maybe we can open up the quarterback or Jamar Chase. But I can't wait, guys. You guys are great, and I think you brought a lot of great insight that I can't wait to listen back to. Now, for the fun part of the show, real simple. Follow along in the chat. I will type in the names that you say. Each of you has a team. I'll take Daniel K's place. He's got an interesting project potentially he's working on, so he couldn't make it in tonight. Make sure you check out his work at SI All Lions, former NFL scout, and really detailed profile of players and some outside of the box thinking on a lot of players. He loves Slater. That's why I love him. He loves my pick, and he thinks to give a little early preview of our predictions, he's got Slater, and he actually is like, look, I don't even care about Taylor Decker. You gave him all that money. Just put him at left tackle and let him shine. So make sure you stay tuned to SI All Lions to see our predictions and for the coverage that we give, as well as the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. So, hey, briefly, if you just want to touch on the needs of the team that you got, maybe assessment of the pick that you're making, let us know. Follow along in the chat if you forget where we're at. Each of us has been assigned a team. I'll take over Daniel. So, I mean, why not just have all the picks, really? I let you guys join. So we assigned it when we did this, but I'm excited to do this because it'll be fun to kind of see where you guys are at. First couple picks will be good, and then we'll get this rolling. So this is the DSP SI mock draft. And with the first pick, because everybody knows, tell us what you think.
So this is a team that is basically hitting the reset button and hitting the reset button hard. You got Uncle Urban in there. And what better way to kick off your tenure as a brand new head coach with a brand new front office than with your franchise quarterback? Trevor Lawrence has been the best quarterback in college football since his freshman year. I think he's been bored the last 2 years, and I think you've seen that by his play on the field. I think he's looking for a new challenge. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars already have this done before the draft even gets underway. Contract's already signed. It's Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. The debate's going to happen because I got the number 2 pick and the New York Jets. I know whispers, maybe they could field offers and things like that. Now, if I want to go crazy and I'm drinking 4 or 5 whiskeys, taking Logan's advice and hitting some bullets hard, hell, let the Lions trade 4 first-rounders for Zach Wilson. Let's really start a party. Let's get all of us back on Friday and be like, what the hell happened? But it's not going to happen. Robert Saleh made the move. He came in with his beautiful Lebanese suit on, and he was just like, no, I want to get rid of this Darnold character. I got number 2. I'm taking Zach Wilson, and I'm going to ride myself to the playoffs, and then I'm going to call Detroit and laugh because they didn't offer me a contract. It's Zach Wilson to the Jets, baby, the new Mr. New York.
John loves Robert Saleh. That's all I got to say, man.
Who wouldn't love a Lebanese leader? I mean, come on, you guys all do. You know, he's going to get that team.
None of us do tolerate you.
I say, yeah, none of us we just tolerate you.
I'm going to be.
Put up with you.
I don't have a B team, but if the Jets win the Super Bowl, I'm donning the Jets. I'm going to go down there and party with them because I wanted them. I wanted them bad. It was this close, guys, this close. We would have had it all. It would have been great, but he's smart. He was like, I probably should go to the Jets in the number 2 pick. He's wise. Didn't come to this. We'll see.
John showed up at Metro with Fatouche.
Yeah, I mean,
and hummus and was like, let's go, baby.
It would have been great. It wasn't meant to be. It would have been I thought it was for a second, a day or two. I thought it would happen, but he wisened up and got a real good opportunity with the Jets.
All right, get this draft back on the board. Quit salivating over Robert Saleh. Let's go.
Okay. Robert Saleh takes the quarterback, Zach Wilson. Now we go to the 49ers. Key decision here. Logan, who are the 49ers taking?
So is this a personal who they should take or who I think they'll take?
You can give no, it's who you think they will take because
all right.
I know Zach Wilson's going number 2. It's going to happen.
All right. Yeah. So at number 3, it's down to 2 guys, either Trey Lance or Mac Jones. And for whatever reason, the Niners traded all the way up to 3 because they had someone in mind. They had that, even though they say that, hey, we're happy with a bunch of guys, I think they had someone in mind. And so I'm going to go Mac Jones here and just pencil it in, make sure you have an eraser because it could be Trey Lance or Mac Jones. No one knows, but I'll say Mac Jones for this one.
Okay. Number 4, Cameron, who you got?
Yeah, so this one was an easy one for me. I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts. I think the consensus is that he's going to be there. If he's there, I think they take him. If they don't, well, and this is interesting because I know that Atlanta needs a quarterback. So if they don't trade down, then I think Pitts is their guy. But if you pair Pitts with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, man, it's over. So Kyle Pitts is my guy at number 4.
Especially too, guys, sometimes it's not, we don't have to overthink it. They said they put Julio Jones on the market. What does that mean? So when you look at it, I agree with you there. Arthur Jones is going to be like salivating to get Kyle Pitts. And it's going to break my heart when it happens. But I think we're spot on with the first 4 picks. Vito, number 5. Do the Bengals protect Joe Burrow or do they give him an offensive threat, somebody he's familiar with? I'm so fascinated. What do you think happens at number 5 with the Bengals?
Well, I think I'm spot on too with this pick. I have them taking Penei Sewell, okay, which will kill a lot of Lions fans' vibes and all that kind of good stuff. And especially if you have Kyle Pitts at number 4 going to the Falcons and then Sewell going number 5 to the Bengals, right? 2 guys back-to-back off the board that Lions fans would love to have at number 7. So not to, kill your vibe, Lions fans out there, but I don't think either guy is going to be available at number 7. And Joe Burrow could use that solid left tackle, right? The Bengals line to build around, a franchise cornerstone at left tackle for years to come. Why not take him at number 5? So for me, it's an easy decision, and I really do think the Bengals will take him as well, and that is Mr. Penei Sewell.
All right, Christian. It's the big pick because it's going to directly influence what the Lions do. What do the Miami Dolphins do one spot ahead of the Detroit Lions at number 6?
Well, I'm playing into that nightmare scenario, John. I think that the Dolphins elect to go Jamar Chase here, wide receiver from LSU. Tua Tagovailoa was by no means good last year. And what do you do in that scenario? Well, you get him another playmaker. You get him another guy that can get open. Jamar Chase, I think, has the skill set to be, a transcendent talent in this league eventually. You saw what his college teammate Justin Jefferson did with subpar quarterback play and Kirk Cousins. That's a whole nother argument. But I think by getting him a talented wide receiver, I think the Dolphins, they're investing in Tua, and I think getting him a playmaker goes a long way to that.
Oh, you guys put me in the roughest position because I've already called it. And what do I see happening in this scenario? This is the toughest thing to decide because it's the new pick of Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. But I have to go with what I said. They're looking to finally, if they're going to run the football, look, I think that they understand that they have Hawkinson. They have 2 role players. They don't want to kind of potentially address the wide receiver spot in round 1. If Brad Holmes is a true talent evaluator and he understands what he's doing, you should be able to find a wide receiver in rounds 2 to 5. If you even make a trade of one of your first round picks to get back into the second round, or if you find somebody you love in the 3rd round, making a move to get back to take a wide receiver. It's a deep class. If he scouted anybody, if he can scout worth a darn, it's not a wideout. So it's Rashawn Slater. It's in the trenches. You build the running game, and that's the 7th pick. Adam, number 8.
So this is a really interesting pick because of what just unfolded on Wednesday with Teddy Bridgewater going to Carolina. I think the way that they restructured that contract means they're still in line to possibly get a quarterback here. And actually, no, I got all that mixed up, didn't I? Because Denver traded for Teddy Bridgewater, didn't they?
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
See, look at that. Getting all my teams mixed up here. Makes it real simple then. This team is is kind of in a sweet spot because there's still a couple quarterbacks on the board. They can still try to leverage that to trade. I think they are going to go with the best quarterback available on their board, whether it be Trey Lance or whether it be Justin Fields. On my board, Trey Lance is a better quarterback than Justin Fields. They go Trey Lance.
So you think Trey Lance is going to pepper Sam Darnold there in Carolina right away?
Yeah, I think he's going to look. I think the way this is going to work out, do you believe in Sam Darnold? I don't think they believe in Sam Darnold. I think he's going to be a stopgap quarterback. I think you get your guy for now, so that way you can bring your guy for the future along. And look, we all discussed earlier, Trey Lance basically needs to sit a year, maybe two. That's enough time for Darnold's contract to run out, and then you can just hit the go button with Trey Lance.
Okay. Number 9 is the Denver Broncos, and they got needs galore, especially on defense, cornerback, linebacker, edge, an offensive lineman, and safety. Nationally, the real talk has been, Vic Fangio's kind of disdain for Drew Lock and potentially even throwing him in an offer for the Lions when Stafford was available. I think they look at with their new general manager in Patton. I think they look cornerback, and with the 9th pick, the cornerback J.C. Horn out of South Carolina is the pick. Logan, number 10.
All right. I thought you were going to pick Patrick Surtain there for a second. I was going to blow up my pick at 10, but the Cowboys could use a corner, and I think Surtain's their guy, so makes it still an easy selection for me. Patrick Surtain, cornerback, Alabama.
That'll be very fascinating to see if the battle between Surtain and Horn, because 1-2 in relation to them as well. All right, number 11 goes to Cameron. Who they got?
Yeah, so this one was a tough one for me because I just said that I hated Devonta Smith, but I think he's going to be there for New York at number 11. So that's my pick for them. With Kenny G there, former Detroit Lion Kenny Galladay is there, and Daniel Jones kind of on the come up. I think that they'll need a wide receiver, so I think that's my pick for the Giants.
Oh man, you're setting them up too. They just picked up the 5th-year option too on the running back coming back from injury, Saquon Barkley. Oh man, they could be coming back. Look out for the New York Giants. Okay, Vito, number 12.
Well, I wanted the little guy for the little man over here. Okay, I wanted Devontae Smith because you guys think his size, matters, and this guy's not going to succeed in all that. I would have taken him, but I'll take his former Bama teammate in Jalen Waddle, which you almost, I don't know if I want to say it like this, but you can't believe a little bit, I think, that he's available at this spot because he's the second best wideout, I think. I really think he is behind, in terms of wide receivers, guys are labeled at wideout, behind Jamar Chase. So Waddle at number 12 for a depleted wide receivers room in Philadelphia with the new QB and Jalen Hurts could use all the help that he can get there in Philly. So I've got Jalen Waddle going number 12 to the Eagles.
All right, Christian, number 13.
Yeah, this is an easy one for me as well. I'm going to take Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech, not just because we share the same name, but because I think that the Chargers want to get Justin Herbert some protection. The biggest thing with a young quarterback is keeping him healthy, and in getting another big offensive lineman, a guy who's ready to play right away, you take another step towards ensuring that.
Okay, now number 14 is the Minnesota Vikings, with their biggest needs being the line, edge, wide receiver, and cornerback. But here's the thing. Are you really happy? Are you really happy with Kirk Cousins? I know I got love for him being that, I'm a state guy. Rick Spielman has seen quarterbacks, both of them. He's seen what's happening. He's seen the board here. And at this point in time, he's salivating. He's like, oh my gosh, my guy's there. And they take at number 14, they get their guy, quarterback, Justin Fields. Adam, number 15, it is the selection for the New England Patriots, who failed to make the trade. They're staying at number 15.
I think they're okay with that because if this draft plays out the way it's playing out right now, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on a bus ticket to New England very, very shortly. It's going to probably cost New England that 2nd-round pick that they gave up for him. Maybe it'll cost them a 3rd. Who knows? But I think Jimmy Garoppolo by the end of the weekend is in New England. That being said, they need linebacker help. They need some help on that defense, and my guy's there, and I think most of our guys there. He's there with his broomstick. It's going to be Micah Parsons going to the New England Patriots.
He sounds like a Patriot, doesn't he?
He does.
He sounds like a Patriot. All right. I like this. I like this draft. I like how we're putting this together, guys. Good analysis and good thinking of how this could go. All right. Cardinals next at number 16. They don't got any selections in the third or fourth rounds. They better hit on who they like. I think their top need is cornerback. So I think they go Northwestern cornerback, Greg Newsome. All right. After that, we got Logan with pick 17.
Yeah. So with the Raiders, they have a lot of secondary needs. So you just, again, stole the guy that could have been a good pick for them, one pick earlier, but they've pretty much completely revamped their offensive line. So you could look at offensive linemen as well. I think you can look at guys like Elijah Vera Tucker on the interior. You can look at even going further back in the draft, like Tavon Jenkins. And so considering that, offensive tackle is typically the more prioritized position, I'll have him take Tavon Jenkins, offensive tackle, Oklahoma State.
Okay. I like it. I like your pick. Camren, number 18.
All right, hear me out, you guys. This is my guy, Michigan guy. Kwity Paye is my pick here, and purely just because I'm a Michigan guy and he's on the board. I don't know about the fit too much, but he's there, and I had him at 18, so that's my reasoning.
It's the fit.
I think let me help out a little bit. They need help on the edge. It makes sense. It works.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, Michigan guys can create videos and do backgrounds and things like that, and they just want to put an edge somewhere. At least it's a fit. Thank you. Give him a first round grade. No problem. Cameron will be
Jalen Phillips might have went ahead of him, but it works.
Yeah,
it's a fit.
That was my other guy. So that was my backup plan if somebody took Kwity from me. So there we go.
Vito, number 19.
I will take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. How about him? I like him at linebacker. Redskins now are the Washington football team, remember? No longer the other team. It's the Washington football team. I think takes him, and you know why? They're good defensively on the line, got good pass rushers and everything. I know that already. But at linebacker, get Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and you get a guy that really fills a weakness on their defensive side of the football. So for me, I'm taking a guy there that maybe that Washington football team doesn't direly need, but I think would just, take that defense to another level.
Okay, Christian, number 20.
And I'm sitting here at 20, and I'm taking a look here at the Chicago Bears. First of all, Chicago Bears should be calling everybody early in the draft and giving up an arm and a leg for a quarterback, but because they did not, I'm looking at this depth chart at cornerback here, and I see Desmond Trufant. A little bit further down the line, I see Teez Tabor, who shouldn't be within a stratosphere of a football field. And I decide that I'm going to go cornerback here. I see Caleb Farley still available, and I'm going to go ahead and jump on that and take Caleb Farley, the cornerback out of Virginia Tech. They could use a young guy in that secondary, and who better than Caleb Farley?
Nice. I like it. All right, number 21 here. My selection is for the Indianapolis Colts with their needs at edge, tackle, cornerback, wide receiver, and things like that. So Tevin Jenkins would have been a nice fit, but he's not there. So I think being that potentially, could they take a quarterback? Oh man, it's an interesting situation with the Colts in regards to having the acquisition of Carson Wentz. Defensively, they got a lot of holes. So I think it has to be a defensive player. Could it be the likes of a linebacker? Could it be an edge rusher? Could it be somebody on offense to be surprised? I think they go, let's see here on my board. I think they go outside linebacker. I think that they could go with Azeez Ojulari, the outside linebacker from Georgia. Maybe not the best in terms of need, but taking the best player still on the board. So that's the pick there, Azeez Ojulari. Adam, 22.
All right, so the Titans are on the board, and they need a little bit of help in a couple of different spots. So you could go corner. You could add a couple of athletic pieces for that offense. You can go offensive line. You could even go safety or linebacker on this team. So they need a little bit of help in a few different spots. And with that being the case, going to go best position available or best player available. I'm going to go Christian Barrymore, interior defensive line out of Alabama.
Okay. 23rd pick here is the Jets again, who have, like I said, a great situation with all their picks. Needs an outside linebacker, corner, edge, running back. I think that if you're looking at the SEC, you're looking at a player that was just dominant and did his thing. How do you look at Najee Harris and say, man, let me pass on him? I think he's the guy that potentially is going to be the workhorse and can do something. So with that pick, Najee Harris. All right, 24, Logan.
John, you got to stop stealing my picks. Now you caught me off guard again.
I'm GM, baby. For Robert Saleh, I did fine-tooth research. I'm like, I want the best of the best. Creme de la creme.
All right. Well, so, I mean, there's still some good running backs on the board, but I feel like the Steelers have really showed so much interest in Najee Harris in this whole draft process. I thought he might be their guy, but they did lose Bud Dupree on the edge. So they could be looking for another great athlete coming off the edge to pair with the Watt kid. And so, you know, there are some question marks with Jalen Phillips. Is just, you know, his concussion history and, you know, his love for music as he really committed to football. But I think what we saw he could do last year in Miami, and Greg Rousseau didn't play, and Phillips stepped right in and had some great success. And he was a 5-star, you know, one of the top high school recruits coming out for a reason, because he is just very athletically gifted. So I'll go Jalen Phillips, edge Miami.
Nice. 25 is Cameron.
For 25, I'm going to go with the edge out of Penn State, Jason Owe. You know, this is a guy, I don't know too much about him, but it looks like by all accounts, he's going to be the best player available at this point in the draft. So that's my pick.
Nice. 26, Vito.
Quarterback, Greg Newsome out of Northwestern. You know, it looks like in these mock drafts, you look at all these different guys and what they've picked. Now, he wasn't picked, was he? He was number 6.
He was. I knew it'd be Vito.
Well, here we go. So here, let me give you something. Here we go. My other guy, I could tell based on the fact that you guys were I really was hurt by that, by the way. You guys were laughing at me, too. So I'm going to go with a bold pick. Listen to this now. We're going bold. Quarterback Aaron Robinson out of UCF. A guy that this would probably be a reach for. Maybe a gigantic reach, but at least he's a cornerback. I know that much out of UCF. He was at Bama for a year or something too. So he's got talent. I know that. Hey, Bama only recruits talent, okay? Now, this guy can go anywhere from 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, maybe not even until the 3rd round, but I'm going to just take a huge leap of faith, like the Lions would normally in the past. We're not picking for the Lions, but Lions would normally. And I'm going to take Aaron Robinson out of UCF at this pick.
Surprise. Okay, Vito, no problem.
No surprise.
It's hard. It's hard for, you know, with your educational situation to follow along and focus and, you know, to stay with us, but it's okay. You did good. It's not a big problem at all. Aaron Robinson, I actually like it. I think it's a solid situation for that team. All right, number 27, hopefully. Christian.
You know, the popular pick here for Baltimore is wide receiver. However, I think that anybody they want to get at 27, they can get at 31, just a couple of picks later. So I'm going to go offensive line here, and I'm going to go Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle, Alabama. Obviously, they just made the trade to Kansas City, and they need a guy in that spot now, and I think that nobody better than an experienced offensive lineman like Alex Leatherwood.
Absolutely. New Orleans at 28, they get their biggest need addressed. Cornerback, linebacker, O-line, D-line. But, you know, even though they got a situation with the cap that's just not going to be good for them, I think they get, you know, legacy. Cornerback Asante Samuel from Florida State. I think they're happy. They're very happy with what they get, and hopefully they get a defender for many generations to come. Number 29 is Adam.
So with Green Bay's in a position where it seems like it's do or die, right? It's time to crap or get off the pot, because Aaron Rodgers is getting up there, and you're kind of up against it as far as his contract goes. If you restructure it, he's on your team for another couple of years. So I think you got to push all in, and you finally have to get this man a weapon that he wants. And the highest rated weapon on the board is Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss.
Nice. Number 30, the team I'm starting to love. I mean, how do you not love the Buffalo Bills? I mean, Bills Mafia getting close. You kind of get a sense that they're on the ascent. And look, Josh Allen in that story, the trade that they made to acquire his services, there's a need there. They look at the next best running back, and they get, with the 30th pick, Travis Etienne. And look out, man, they added speedy free agent Matt Breida, and you add Etienne to the mix with that offense and what they're building there. I'm in love with that pick. So I think they're going to love to have Etienne at that spot. 31, Logan.
All right. So Christian previously just picked for the Ravens at 27. I like the Alex Leatherwood pick because I was looking at him as well if he was still going to be there at 31, but they still got him. So I think now they would address probably the receiver position, and to have a guy like Rashad Bateman still floating around, I mean, I think they would run to the podium for that pick because I think he's a mid first round type of talent. So I'll go with best talent that fits position of need, and that's Rashad Bateman, wide receiver, Minnesota.
Absolutely, guys. This was fun. This was exactly how we thought it would go. We have, you guys did a good job in your research, putting together mock drafts, looking at needs. So now, Cameron, you close it out. We're not asking you to compress a video here. Nothing too challenging. Just pick the selection, the last pick in the first round, pick number 32.
Absolutely. So last pick, I'm a little surprised nobody else has taken him yet, but I'm going to go with the speedy wide receiver out of Florida, Kadarius Toney. Looks like he was projected to go a little bit earlier. So, I don't know what you guys are kind of thinking there, but it looks like he's a speedy guy, can make some plays. So that's my pick at 32.
Well, Cameron, I wasn't thinking, by the way. So,
Yeah, it's
okay.
okay.
That, though, right? Obviously, clear cut.
I saw a mock draft with him in the second round. So it can go any which way, guys. That's why this is fun. It can go so many different ways. So that concludes our DSP SI mock draft. Very good stuff. I think I graded an A+. You guys did it. You brought it. Just like I said, personally, thank each and every one of you. You each bring your own flair to the podcast and to SI and to the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. And like I said, I'm grateful that you would take time out of a Wednesday night to rap about the Lions and do work and take instructions. Vito may say I'm not the easiest to work with, but I think you have fun. I think you see that, okay, there's a little method to the madness. Adam will shake his head, but he knows. He's like, okay.
Bro, I've almost quit this thing 17 times.
Hey,
This year alone.
If you
This
almost
year
put
alone.
17,
yeah,
it's 18 for me.
exactly.
19 or 20.
Exactly. And it's fun. And look, you listen, I can share. Everyone knows because I think I tell most people the podcast and the website generate millions of downloads. And it doesn't happen from just people that don't put in effort and don't try. So to be able to say that you guys are part of it and are a big part of it is amazing because a website just doesn't sustain itself, or they just say, okay, hey, you guys did it for a month or two. See you later. No, they liked it. They observed it and they go, whoa, the podcasts are making noise. They've credentialed us. They see our faces, and to the influence that we have with each of your guys' roles is amazing. And so this concludes Doc and Jock, our latest episode. Make sure, everyone, all you got to do is go to your favorite place to listen to podcasts and you type in Detroit Sports Podcast. Old English D pops up. You hit that subscribe button. If you like this or you don't like it, if you think that our picks are crazy, let us know. We love the debate at Detroit Podcast. Let us know. The most interactive Detroit sports Twitter page. And we appreciate all the love, Doc and Jock, because I can't wait to recap all of this weekend, next week on the Doc and Jock podcast. Follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Thank you, guys. We'll talk again next week.